Cool. All right. We're going back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm kind of upset.
Okay.
Kind of upset. Couldn't get my Starbucks. Line was ridiculous. This is maddening. This is absolutely maddening, yo. Like, this is crazy.
Hey, listen. The guy has better plans for you. He said no Starbucks today.
Yeah. All right, you know what? Forget it. I'll probably... You know what? That means I can eat some dessert tonight. Have you ever had tiramisu?
No.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Some people don't like it. They say it's a wet cake. I did mess around.
I've had flan, and I've had the tres leches.
Oh, yeah.
Tres leches cake is wet cake.
It is. That is. That's why it's normally like in a little container, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the little milk at the bottom.
Yeah. Actually, I might get that tonight.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So hate, right?
Yes.
So do you feel like people don't pay attention to how we treat each other, or do you feel like the way we treat each other makes them feel okay to, reciprocate the hate that they give to us?
It's a combination of both. I don't think they really care about what we do until it becomes popular and we raise it to their attention. Think about how in the culture, how they thought door knockers and certain hairstyles and certain makeup styles was ghetto.
Wait, you talking about the 80s, Johns?
Yes. They're not considered the standard.
Yeah.
Whether it's professionally or whatever.
The salt and pepper ones, mine used to have all those, yeah.
Yeah, I had them like every black girl had them, depending on where you're from, people come from different economic classes, so they may not have the door knockers, but I grew up with some with my name on them, so, but at any rate, a lot of the things, we are the innovators. We create, and it's frowned upon until someone like a Kardashian puts it on. Now it's like, oh, this is the new thing, and a lot of times when that happens, black people laugh because they're like, what? This has been a thing for us.
Yeah.
But y'all called it ghetto. Y'all called it, ratchet, whatever. Y'all didn't approve of it.
Words, yeah.
Y'all did not approve of it.
Yeah.
But now that a Kardashian or someone in Hollywood that doesn't look like us has it, now it's hot. So I feel like they don't really give a fuck until it becomes the trendy thing.
The
but
Harlem Shake, remember that?
Yes, but that Harlem Shake was not the Harlem Shake.
No, it wasn't. But
I don't even know why they called it Harlem Shake. It was just whatever. But even with the Kevin Samuels thing, going back to that, right? A lot of people were like, why isn't this making national headlines? It's like, because only black people care about it. And I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. Like, a lot of the things that we pay attention to that catches our eye, it only matters to us. But when it does make national headlines, it may come off different. So I feel like it's a combination of both. But I think in reference to like the hate thing and like what that guy did in Buffalo, like, I think it's a combination of, they really pay attention to how we treat each other? We do it out in the open, but do they really care? Or do we welcome that space for them to come in and see it? Like this freaking cookout thing. Like, I hate this imaginary cookout that we have created.
Wait, what cookout?
Like,
I feel like I'll be missing all these black things that be happening. Like,
so let's say a white person goes viral for dancing on beat. Oh, he or she's invited to the cookout. Oh,
I get what you're saying. Oh, yeah. You did. You sent me that joint of the white girl rapping. Yeah. And they were like going
she's
crazy
invited,
about that.
Yeah, she's welcome to the cookout, and it's just like, why do we create this imaginary cookout for them doing things that appeal to our eye? Who's at this cookout at this point? Because I don't think we're at this cookout. Like, who is the DJ?
Yeah.
What food is going to be there? We know how when we put together a cookout, what we want there, right? Yeah. This imaginary cookout just has a bunch of white people doing things that black people are entertained by. And it's just like,
right.
Why is this entertaining to us so much? Like, she knows lyrics to a song. This song, when it's released, is accessible to all on all streaming services. If she likes that song, what's wrong with it? You know what I mean? Like, it's music. Why does this entertain you so much that she's coming to this imaginary cookout that has no food, no DJ, just white people? Like, I won't be at this cookout.
Right.
At all.
So, I mean, like, let me ask you how that makes you feel, right? Mm-hmm. Like, seeing black men do that, right? Like,
It's
Matter of fact,
it's black people in general.
Well,
it's not just black men get excited.
I'm kind of segueing.
Yeah. Okay,
to,
go ahead.
Because, you know, I feel like the topic done came up. Might as well touch on it now, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like black men put white women on a pedestal?
No, I don't think that they put them on a pedestal. I think that we have a lot to unlearn, and we're programmed to think that, you know, we don't even know what submission means, but we look from the outside influences and think that that's what a black woman should be, and because she's not that, then we need to look elsewhere. I feel as though I don't get offended by it, because in general I have a couple of friends that are in interracial marriages and whatnot, and you married a person that understands you and who you are and respects who you are in your community.
Yeah.
If you're marrying somebody that just totally doesn't get the dynamics between your culture, your race, that really wasn't the smartest. But everybody has their reasons for marrying and being with people, and we aren't privy to that information.
Right.
But I'm not really checking for the guy that puts white women on a pedestal. 9 times out of 10, black women in general don't even want that guy in particular. Like, it's like he's not really attractive, or he doesn't conduct himself in a way that you would want him. So it's not like he's a hot commodity when has a preference of race when it comes to women. Like, he prefers a white woman or a Spanish woman or something over a black woman. But we see that so much, and it's destructive. But it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. So I mean, and the reason why I asked that, because, like, I mean, I date white women, right? I date black women. I date all women, right? I can care less, as long as you come through with, you know, acting right.
And your wants and needs.
Yeah, right. But if not, then you get kicked to the curb regardless. But the reason why I ask is because, like, I run into black women sometimes, and they're like, "Oh, are you one of those types that date white women?" Like, what difference does it make, right? And, like, they get offended by that, right? Like, because, like, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's what you're searching for," and I'm like, "No, I'm not searching for particular
that."
I'm not looking for it. So for me, in the spaces that I'm in, right? Like, obviously, so, like, especially the past couple years, me skydiving, I hike more. Like, you know, the military units that I've been in and stuff like that. Like, I'm like one of the only black people in most of these spaces, right? So if I'm around a certain type of woman, right, and I'm attracted to them and they're attracted to me, the color is not the thing, right? It's the thing that we have in common, right? So it's like, so I mean, of course, if there's no black woman skydiving, and I'm a skydiver, and we have the same interest and we love doing that. Right, so I'm not gonna go out my way searching for a black woman just to search for a black woman, right? Like that is like the dumbest shit ever. And I think. But
what about your thoughts on? Because I have a couple questions off what you just said. Like,
okay.
Of course, in our black community, we aren't really exposed to those things. But there are women out there that are open to trying those new experiences. It's just that they, you know, haven't met the person that kind of opened them up to that. And then some of us are like, nah. I
was about to say, because a lot of black women I run into, they're like, nope, not even trying it.
Yeah. So how do you feel about your experience dating white women compared to dating black women? You've dated both. Like, how do you feel about them understanding you as a black man?
It all depends on. Oh man, because I've had actually some trouble in past relationships, right? And probably not the recent one, but like one before last year, we actually broke up off of some shit, right? So basically, long story short, I'll keep it short. And the crazy part, she's not a bad woman, right? She wasn't a bad woman, but at this moment, that was like when I was like, no. Have you ever read like the autobiography of Malcolm X?
No, but it's on my list of books to read.
So there's a part in there where he talks about Sophia versus Laura, right? Laura's the black girl, Sophia's the white girl, right? Yeah. And like kind of like what type of things he did for Sophia that he wouldn't do, that he may have disgraced Laura and changed her whole life and made her a drug addict and stuff like that because how he treated her, right? And so basically I was talking to this woman I was dating about this particular thing, right? And she was like, oh, so do you desire a black woman? And I'm like, what? Like, what does that have to do with anything, right? Like, I'm just telling you about Malcolm X, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, me, like, that's one of the people I idolize is like Malcolm X, right? Like, you know what I mean? And like, post-Malcolm X, but we'll get into that in another time. So anyway, long story short, things happened to where she started saying little things, right? Like there was a bunch of kids running around out in the neighborhood, and she was like, she's like, I can't remember what she said exactly, like there's these little hood rats running around. And I was like, so I didn't say anything. Me, normally when I get mad, I get quiet, right? Because now I gotta think, is this something I really need to be mad about? But you know, and people who know me well, they know, okay, well, I think he's about to get mad. So she brought up, she's like, why'd you get mad when I said hood rat? And I was like, well, why did you say that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what made you say that? And she was like, I mean, because, you know, I just don't like them running around and stuff like that. And
wait,
like,
what?
Yeah. And she was like, well, she was like, and are you getting mad because you think I was just saying that because there were black kids? There were white kids in there too. And I was like, there was like one or two scattered in there. But, and the most, like, I don't even know how to, like, in the most, like, white womanist way you can say some shit. She's like, well, this is my hood, and they're running around like a bunch of little rats. And I was like, you know what? I'm leaving. Right?
Yeah, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah. But no, but that wasn't the deal breaker there.
Okay.
We talked about it after that, came back. The deal breaker was something happened. This was after this was like a year after George Floyd, right?
Okay.
So this was 2021. You know what I'm saying? It was like Mayish. This is when we broke up. May of last year, right? So, she calls me. I can't remember how we got into the conversation. And then it was like about black women and like how they feel pretty or whatever. And I'm like, well, black women don't feel a certain way. I'm trying to explain to her, like, black women don't feel like idolized because of how they were portrayed in the media over the years, right? Like we're talking about, like, you know, the things that they wore and the things that they said and like the culture, and that was always looked down upon, right?
Yes.
And so black women have never felt like the standard of beauty.
Yes.
And she was like, well, all women feel that way.
No, they don't.
And I was like, wait, so you just going to dilute everything I just said by trying to relate? And I'm like, because I was like, look, I can say, okay, I was in the military, I rucked around with 100 pounds on all the time. That's like me saying, you know, I can relate to you being pregnant.
Yeah, no.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck it feels like to walk around with a goddamn baby in your stomach all the time. Anyway, she got mad, and she's like, well, why are you defending black women?
Excuse me?
Because I'm black. Anyway, she got mad, whatever, hung up on me. Now, when people hang up on me, that's kind of a wrap. Like, I don't even want to talk no more after that. Like,
yeah.
And so yeah, we broke up off of that, right? Because it was just.
But that's disrespectful, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so important that no matter who you choose to date, that they understand you and your culture. That's like if I was to date someone that was from the Middle East or that is of Islam. Now, mind you, we may not share the same beliefs, so we may be unequally yoked off that. But I know that there is a certain culture and there's certain do's and don'ts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even if you are a Pacific Islander, you from Hawaii, that's a whole culture in itself. So you have to understand the do's and don'ts. It's like, it's not hard for you to understand when it comes to Jewish people, the do's and don'ts, what you say and don't say, because that is a very, very sensitive line that you do not cross.
Right.
So the boundary is airtight with that. You can't even say anything in the slightest, you getting put down. We don't have that same airtight boundary with us, and that's why they get comfortable saying little slick things, because now it's like, oh, now that I am dating a black person, now I can say and do certain things, and it's like, nah, it's not like that.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was intrigued about, because like for me, I have to be with someone where I can be myself. I have to be in my element, because like I'm gonna have my nigga moments. And like straight up, and I don't want to feel like I have to suppress my nigga moment because I'm with someone that won't understand this nigga moment. You know what I mean? And it's just a black thing. Like we don't have to say the specifics of like those black moments, because they can be very broad. You know, like if you're out in public, you may see something people watching, whatever. It's just certain things you just know, like, all right, I had this moment. You understood this moment. I ain't even gotta break it down to you. Exactly. You know, this is what I did.
And we can just give the look to each other. Like, and it's like, okay, I know exactly where you're going with that, right?
And that's the space that I prefer to be in.
At what point, like, because me, I'll never do. Number one, I'm black, right? My whole family, I gotta go home and answer to a whole bunch of black women that I grew up with, right?
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and like, if I'm dating a white woman, like, and I'm bringing her home, I don't need a justification. This is who I like, period. But if I start talking down on black women and I have to go justify why, because when you justify things, you're basically trying to make an excuse as to why you should be allowed to be incorrect about things that you're doing or wrong about what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not talking down on a black woman, right? If a black woman comes along, you know, and I've dated black, and it's funny. This is what kind of gets me though, because like when I was a cop in Baltimore, right? I was working in East Baltimore with black people, right? You know what I'm saying? I've dated black women. All of a sudden, it's like erasing my history. Yeah. Oh, you only date white women. Wait, time out.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta be like, hold on. You want me to start naming off all these women that I've dated?
We do the jokes. We do get those jokes. A lot of times we are joking, but sometimes we are serious.
Yeah, but some people, I feel like they aren't joking, right? Because now it's like, oh.
The aunties don't be joking. The aunties be like, you messing with that milk. Okay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they gonna get those bars off.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, I guess it's just a matter of like, we're all limited based on our experiences, and we always have information that another person doesn't know about. Like, they don't know that you chose this white woman because of where you were in an area and there weren't many black women maybe to choose from, or that you were compatible with.
Well, why don't you wait? That's the question I get. But
yeah,
what?
Why should you wait if you found someone that you connect with? That's unfair to be like, I connect with you, but you're white, so let me just hold on out. I get it now. Now again, I'm in a different space now. 10 years ago, or when I was younger, I would have been like, you know what I mean? But now it's like, you understand that we all have different experiences that lead us down the path of people that we meet and whatnot. And it's not always necessarily a race issue, but because of what has been going on. Yeah. In the news, in the world, in America in general, a lot of the racial tension has been at the forefront. Yeah. So a lot of things are triggering more now than ever. Not that they ever was in our community, but we got to deal with the battle of battling each other, and then battling outside influences. Yeah. And so now it's like we go back and forth about whether or not we should stick together, but we have so much to unlearn before we can even come together. And the first step is acknowledging that we have an issue. Right. Whether it's with accountability, respect, loving one another effectively, understanding one another effectively. Yep. We have a lot of work to do. We want to skip steps, kind of like, and we still have this thing where we want to be accepted in white spaces when they could give a fuck whether we in that space or not. They gonna get what they can get from us, and when they don't, it's to hell with us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we don't have that choice to be to hell with each other. We have to still. But we do it all the time. All the time. And it keeps us in a bad space continuously. One of the things I always spoke about, I don't know if you listen to the podcast on Gem Nation Radio. How? I listen to it. Why you trying me, yo? You trying me. This is the shameless plug. Yeah, but check out Gem Nation Radio podcast. Actually, I listened to the last one, but I heard you on the Kevin Samuels one. Yes. You was going off in the beginning. Yes, it sounded sad and mad at the same time. Yes, sad, because you don't want people to transition like that. Right. But my whole thing was, black girls grow up and naturally you're going to be impressed by different things, sponges, you mock little mockingbirds, and we constantly have to deal with the label of being grown, fresh. You consider fresh if you speak up for yourself. You consider grown if you dance to music, and you're just emulating what you see. It's always this judgment that you label on these young girls, and then they get older, and let's say this young girl experienced being sexually abused, whether it's by her own family member, which is a sickening thing, that's a hateful thing to do, or if you have to deal with any type of sexual abuse, they make you the victim. Yeah. They victim shame you. Oh, you shouldn't have been wearing this, or you shouldn't have been doing that. But we already got to deal with that on the outside. Right. So why can't you look at this little black girl and say, you know what, you speak up for yourself. Let me see if we can put you on a debate team. You like to dance. Let me put you on a dance team. Like, why aren't we facilitating spaces for these girls to express their passions at a young age, but you villainize them, and young men at the same time? Are you saying we, or? We as a black community, we do that. And then once you have someone like R. Kelly that's preying on this underage girl, what did we do when it came out? When R. Kelly's continuous habitual habits came to a head. We totally acted like we didn't go 20 years joking about this man on TV shows, and that this man that we have known before the internet blew up.
Even when he went to trial, right? He went to trial in 2000s, right?
2002 for a sex tape that was technically child porn.
And we still was rocking with him.
And people bought the bootleg to watch him piss on a minor.
Yeah.
We made videos, jokes, and then 2020, or no, it was 2020, 2019, 2018, whenever it was, that everything just started coming to a head within the past 3 years with him. All of a sudden, we caught amnesia and started victim shaming the parents. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure that there were some parents that were like, this is an opportunity, you know, for him to be a star, and they just wasn't thinking through. They were starstruck because what artist has R. Kelly blew up? Like, even if you say Aaliyah, technically Missy and Tim blew up Aaliyah.
Yeah.
Because One in a Million was the album that set her off. Her first album was cool, but she wasn't any different.
Was that AJ Number?
AJ Nothing But a Number was her first album. Right. But that was during the era where Monica, Usher, Brandy, all of them was coming out around the same time. Yeah. So it was like they all didn't push for superstardom until like their second and third albums. Right. You know? So her unfortunate passing happened, and, you know, they've been overly protective since, you know, the R. Kelly thing has come to a head. But it's just crazy how, you know, and again, that's also a combination of black men being considered racist. I mean, not racist, black men considered rapists, and people thinking that black men are always innocent when they are accused. There are black men that have been falsely accused, but there are also black men who take advantage of that stigma and being defended, and they continuously prey on young women. And I thought it was crazy when the Bill Cosby thing happened. That was crazy, because I struggled with believing it myself.